Glad to have you all back with us. Hope everybody's doing well. Everybody's healthy out there. Just another week of the Corona quarantine, along with Corona Carly. And what happened? What's going on with you this week, Carly? What's anything? How's the rest of last week? We should go for you. I should
It was
ask.
good.
Yeah,
It was good.
yeah. I know you just did something special today with some college stuff.
Yeah. As of today, I am now considered an architecture student. So,
Oh. Now you signed up back for the school you were originally with, right? The
yes.
college you were originally with back out in California.
Yes. Yep. The online school. They had pretty much like put my stuff on hold until I was coming back because I left for personal reasons.
Oh, good.
And so my GPA wasn't affected. Nothing else was affected, and I pretty much picked up where I left off.
Oh, good.
yeah.
That's even better. That was a right choice. And hey, Carl Mitchell's on. Hey, Carl, how you doing out there tonight? Good to see you on. Haven't seen you in a while. Of course, we haven't seen anybody in a while, but we we haven't even seen Carl post much lately. But it's good to see you, Carl. Bob Burnell's on. How you guys doing? Thanks, Bob. Always good evening to you as well out there, and always glad to see everybody. Yeah. So that's very interesting. So I know you just signed up back up for that day. That's good. They have everything still for you, and you
Yeah.
pick up where you left off.
Mhm.
So that means everything you had completed up to the time you had to leave there.
Yep. I have like a 3.0 GPA, so I don't
Yeah.
want to get rid of that.
All right,
No.
exactly. And then you're picking up some of your credits you already had too.
Yeah.
Eric Julian, there's Eric. How you doing, Eric?
Hey.
Hey, we should ask Eric about Gettysburg Bash. Are we gonna? How's it looking for that? We still gonna be on for that, or Eric, is that starting to look like we might have to change things? I know a lot of people are changing things. This whole thing is going on a lot longer than we maybe hoped for. Don's on. Don Cristofaro. Sorry,
Hey, Barry.
Don. Whew, I got tongue tied there for a minute with your name.
Hey, Barry.
Yeah, we're both looking happy, healthy. Yeah, I hope everybody else out there is too. I hope you are too, Don and Barry. Barry, I see Barry out there. Robin, Kale just stepped in. And Don, how's everything out there in Boston area? I know from Ellen, she's locked in, not seeing anybody. He's staying, basically quarantined like everybody else. Makes it tough on all us paranormal investigators. We don't get to do much. Oh, Eric says, so far we are still good to go. That's good to know. I know it's going to be the end of July, so that's a good to know. I know it's on the cusp there of everything that's going on. I know, in case people hadn't heard, Ocean State Paracon just had to cancel because things are they're mid-July, but everything was up in the air with the location and stuff. It's a casino they had decided to go with this year and try to cut it down from a 2-day event to a 1-day event. But they've decided to cancel because there's no guarantees that the casino is even going to be available, or that they can have meeting sizes of larger than 10. So it's tough out here right now. Yeah, I know everybody's replanning stuff for the end of the year. Matter of fact, I just got an email today from SUNY Schenectady, the college over in Schenectady, that they're canceling their summer classes unless you can do it online. So she just messaged me about that. I hadn't gotten back to her yet, but I don't like to have I potentially could do the class portion online and then hold the investigation later on, but I really don't like doing that. I'd rather push it to later in the fall. I haven't even told the lady that yet, but I would actually rather push it to later in the fall. We're doing that with Hudson Valley too, and then we'll just get a fresh start on things from there. So I think we're going to do that with them too. And
Carl and Bob are on here, and they can they were in the class, and they can say whether or not, because they enjoyed the investigation, and I'm pretty sure that their opinions would be like it wouldn't be the same without the investigation.
Yeah, and the thing of it is, I don't think where we did our investigation is going to be quite open yet either. So I don't think we're going to be able to do anything with them. And even if they do, they might be trying to make up time, so they may not have a Sunday night available for us. Regina Bova's on. She says, that's wonderful news, Carly. Hi, Jack. No questions tonight. Just happy to listen. Well, there you go. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff. It's everything's getting put on hold. But glad to hear so far. Gettysburg Bash, where I think we're all looking forward to that. A lot of us are looking forward to that. And if you guys out there don't know anything about it, check it out. You can go to, well, actually, Eric, you can post a link to it right here if you'd like. It's for everybody to get who hasn't heard about the Gettysburg Bash. It's Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. I know it's being held, I believe it's the last weekend of July, correct, Eric? And actually, I've still got my hotel room already reserved from when I left last year. I reserved right away as soon as we had the dates. So we're really looking forward to that. That's always a great time. If you haven't been to it, it's worth the drive down to Gettysburg. It's always worth the drive down to Gettysburg anyway. But it's really worth the drive down to the event. It's a really good event, great event. Let's hope it still goes on because it's a great fundraising event too. And there was some discussions of something special maybe going to be going on with my classes down there this year too. So we might actually be holding my class down there for the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash if all goes well. So let's all keep our fingers crossed. But check it out. You can look it up on Facebook. Just look up Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. You'll find it. All the information is there about the event. And Keith again, Eric, Julian, again, feel free to post the link up there today on our site here. And you can go to my website. It's actually there's a link to it on my website, jackkenna.org. If you go there, you can look up all the events I'll be going to. I believe I've already got that one posted there. And spiritsofnewengland.org. We have all our stuff listed there as well. Bob Maloney says you are right. You need the investigation. Yes, I know. Absolutely, we do for that class. You can't do it with it. You really can't do it without it. It's a very integral part of it. And without that investigation, I probably wouldn't even hold the class.
Gotta have the hands-on.
Matter of fact, I'm not. Yes, because the hands-on is very important to what I teach. I wish we could have two. We actually had tried to have two investigations, but the colleges didn't want to do that right away. They're feeling us out still. It's all new, so they're feeling us out. And they'd rather do one. I would have rather done two. But we got to start where we got to start, and it's all good. John Northcote's here. Yeah, how you doing, John? From British Columbia. Yes, sir. I know you're up there in great British Columbia, where there's probably nobody has coronavirus because, it's pretty sparse up there, right? I'm not calling you a hick. No, John, I'm not calling you a hick. I'm just saying it's pretty sparse in British Columbia. I've been there, but you guys got, they got cities up there too. It is British Columbia is a little bit like Alaska. I mean, it's there's cities and stuff, but it's some beautiful country, and it's very open territory up there. Jerry Pauly says, "Hey Jack." Barry Martz. I don't want to miss anybody. Regina Bova. I think I already said that because she's mentioned how wonderful news it was. George, I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name because I'll get it wrong. I know I will. Well, 2 weeks in a row. Good to see you both. Oh, no, we've done more than 2 weeks in a row. Come on. I know we had some early starts and misstarts. That was because of everything going on, us moving and stuff like that. And Jerry Paul says, hi, Carly. We're not really, if we had any questions out there, throw them out at us. I will say this. I helped out. I co-hosted with my good friend Alex King over in the UK. Interestingly enough, American Ghost Hunter Show. And Alex is in the UK, but actually it used to be Daryl Marston's show, and Alex kind of inherited that. And Alex is a great guy. He's a great investigator, good people. He runs his once every other week. But last night was a night for the show, and I co-hosted with him, and we interviewed Brandon Alvis from Ghost Hunters. Very cool guy. Him and I have a very similar thoughts on things as far as reviewing evidence and collecting data. Not really reviewing this, but reviewing your data to see if there is any evidence of anything paranormal. That's how I actually like to put it. British Columbia population is around 5 million. That's actually pretty. That's a lot. I mean, but it's British Columbia is a big place. I've been to British. Have I been to British? No, I haven't been to British Columbia. I've been to Newfoundland. Um, but I know British Columbia is a big place. I think Alaska is similar to that, like around five. I think it's around 5 million. I forget. But you just have a lot of territory. Is my point up there? A lot of space. Um, and it's a cool place. I've seen it on TV and stuff. I would love to get up there just to see British Columbia. Um, Trust me, John, not dissing you at all. Um, and John says right now they're seeing the COVID-19 leveling off in cases. Ours is still just starting to level off here in New York State. As you know, everybody knows we got hit pretty hard. It's just starting to drop off a little bit. And we got a ways to go. We're still kind of in lockdown until I think May 15th or something like that. And then the governor will make another decision what to do after that. We've been going bit by bit here, and just seeing how things are going. But we're all surviving. We're doing well. We have had a lot of people pass away from it down, especially down the city, though. A lot of deaths. New York State got hit pretty hard, and that's why nobody else in other states or other countries even want us coming to them. So we're all infected. It's a zombie apocalypse. Zombie apocalypse. This is probably as close as we're going to get to it, people. So if you've been waiting for it to happen, this is it. All right. So, not quite as bad as maybe some hoped for or or expected. You can't go out there and shoot people in the streets because they're already dead. But it is pretty bad. People have lost their jobs and people are unemployment. Even Carly had to apply. Um, but she's furloughed too, so she will get her job back when this is over with. It's happened to a lot of people, and that's another reason to really think about events. And I think getting off on that, think about events, and do you want to hold them when this all gets back together? Are people really going to be able to afford to even go to some of the events and stuff like that? It's things we got to think about, because a lot of people are just going to be starting to get their lives back together. And I'm not trying to talk anybody out of anything. I think events are great, and just get back together, even if it's just to get back together and see all each other again, more than worth it. We'll do what we can to raise funds for all these different events. Um, on Holly Bruce is hers is rising. The cases out there where she is rising, and some places it still is. Other states it still is. Other countries it still is. Um, And John says, love to see you in Canada when this blows over. I actually will be making a trip up to Canada, up to Ontario to see a very good friend of mine. Actually, Carly, I think you'll be heard me talking with Michelle Durocher today. That we're going to for a visit. She's been helping us out with some cases, and I owe her and her friend a big dinner for helping us out. And
I actually didn't know that because I was busy with my college stuff, but
oh, okay, all right. Well, I'm going to be doing that. I am going to be helping her. We're
that
going to
was a
be
nice
going up for a
surprise.
visit. We're going to be going up. It's been a long time. We got to get up for a visit, and yeah, we're going to do that. Oh, Holly says Rhode Island. Well, that's one reason. I said they're canceling the Rhode Island
Ocean State.
Ocean State Paracon, which is usually held in Rhode Island. They were crossing the border this year up to Massachusetts to hold it. But yeah, no, even they don't want us New Yorkers in Rhode Island right now, Holly. I can't even cross the border into Massachusetts. They don't want me there. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Nope, we got a question.
New Yorkers, stay away. All right, so we have a question. Oh, before we get to the question, I just want to say we talked about, I had a nice interview last night with Brandon Alvis from the Ghost Hunter. Great guy. I know he's going to be on some other shows coming up and stuff. Maybe we'll try to get him on here. I actually did ask him to take a look at a piece of evidence, actual evidence that we captured, Spirits of New England captured many years ago, back in 2010 from the USS Constitution. That was even before Ghost Hunters originally investigated it themselves. So I sent that to him. I'm really curious about his take on it, and maybe we can have him on at some point if he's willing to talk about that and answer people's questions, as we always do here. With that said, let's get to the first question. Whose question is it, Carly? Go ahead and tell me whose question it is, and I'll pull it up.
So our first question is actually included in a statement by Drew Henry. I watched a short documentary on the Roman Colosseum, and they said over 400,000 people died during the games in a 4-year period. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Have y'all heard anything about that location being a hotspot?
I have not, but I'm sure it probably is. I mean, a lot of things went on at that Roman Coliseum. A lot
It's a
of
lot of
deaths,
history.
a lot of crazy deaths. Yeah, they did crazy stuff in there. You got to remember, back in those days, that arena was kind of the sports arena. They were just there was some sports they actually played, as well as having these like death matches and even recreating battles, even ship battles in
Ship
that
battles. Oh,
arena.
yeah.
Yeah, they would
Absolutely.
actually flood it and bring in ships and recreate different battles that took place. Of course, they were really recreating them. So people
Yeah.
died in the battles. Hopefully you were a guy on the winning side.
Well, even if you were on the winning side, if the emperor wasn't in your favor and he wasn't entertained and he gave you the thumbs down.
Oh, yeah, true too. Yeah, that's true too. But usually the recreation of previous battles were,
Yes.
done as they were. If you were on the winning side, guess what? You probably
Yeah.
survived. You're on the losing
There you
side.
go.
Tough for you. But no, I don't even know if they allow people to even investigate there. You know who might know the answer to that question? If she happens to be listening tonight, Michelle DeRoche, which I
Yes.
know she's not, because I know she's doing clearings and stuff tonight. But hey, I can raise that to her. She's well traveled. She's traveled the whole world, or maybe somebody even here has too. If you are in here and you're listening tonight, if you know the answer to that question from Drew, please provide the answer, because I just personally don't know. I have never been overseas to investigate. I'm sure it probably is a lot of activity going on there, and a lot of even residual energies that are left. So, but I just personally don't know the answer to
They
that.
did animal sacrifices there too, so it was a very spiritual area too in the Colosseum.
Yes, yes, exactly. So there was a lot of things that happened in that
Yeah.
Coliseum. Yeah. Oh, here's one from Bob, our buddy Bob. During an investigation, if you hear footsteps, is that a residual haunting because spirits do not have legs or feet? How could it be an intelligent haunt? Well, that's a good question.
That is a good question.
And the fact is, it could go either way. It could be residual or it could be intelligent. An intelligent spirit that's just trying to get your attention could create the sound of footsteps. I've had cases like that. I've been on cases like that where we've had interaction and heard footsteps while catching EVPs, and I've had stuff walk right behind me in places, and I knew something was following me. You could actually, when you get in tune with things, you can actually sense the presence of a spirit, and you can feel that it's like walking right with you or right behind you. And you feel like you're being watched and stuff. So that's a residual haunting really wouldn't provide that. It might provide energy, but you probably wouldn't pick it up on it like what I'm talking about. So it could go either way, Bob. I mean, or the footsteps you hear might be me sneaking down from above to get to the refrigerator in the house we're investigating.
Well, the funny thing was when we were over at the Lookout House Bed and Breakfast, and in the middle of the interview that you were doing with you and Ellen, I forget who the interview was for. I was so focused on the footsteps in the attic above us when no one was up there.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah,
That
and
was
later
really
that
fun.
night, they literally those footsteps came down out of the attic, down the
Yep.
stairway, open and closing a door that never opened and closed, and walked through the room. I was awake, and
Yep.
I watched. I could watch where the footsteps were happening. There's nothing there, um, and that I believe was residual, because I'm hearing footsteps with no sense that there's a spirit there. My body didn't react to anything like that. It was just a sound. It was just I believe it was just a residual sound. Usually, even when I've been up in the attic, I haven't really felt much up there. Once I think kind of picked up on a young girl that was up there, but nothing like this. These were like boot steps, like from and they know that there was some soldiers that were there at one time during the Civil War and stuff like that. But that, I believe, was residual because it stopped at literally right next to my bed, and I kind of looked over and said, "Really, you're going to stop right here?" But it actually, the door out the room was next to me on my side of the bed. Um, but I didn't feel there was a spirit connected to that. I just felt it was something residual that was very strange and happening. And the reason I know the door never opened, although where we were, you couldn't see the door to the attic, and it's the only doorway to the attic is through our room. That's the only way to get there. That's the Americana room. If you ever go to the Lookout House Bed and Breakfast in Pennsylvania,
The
um,
most haunted room in the
yeah,
or
it is.
the most haunted bedroom there.
I believe it is. I believe it is one of those because you can hear everything going on up above you in the attic too.
Mhm.
Um, but I do feel that was residual, and I had set up a recorder, the video camera, and when I looked back at it, you can hear the door open and close, but on the camera you never see the door open and close. So that tells me that's residual. If the door had opened and closed physically, I would have said it was something intelligent that actually opened and closed the door, but that didn't happen. It was just the sound. So you got to kind of sort through that, Bob.
And
Uh,
the boot steps that you were hearing on hardwood floor continued onto the carpet area.
all right, repeat that because you kind of broke up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. The footsteps that you heard on the hardwood floor continued onto the carpeted area.
Yes, yes, yeah. That's what kind
So
of what I
that's another
was.
point that it's residual.
Yeah, not always either, but but yeah, that is a sign. You gotta take all this stuff. You gotta look at the data, Bob. It's like anything else. You can't make an assumption. You can't just assume, oh, those are footsteps, so that's residual. You can't make that assumption. You have to look into it, see what's causing it. Anytime you hear footsteps like that, go check it out. And literally get up and go check it out. Don't just sit there and wait. You'll get up and see if it's somebody. See if they're what's going on. See if sometimes animals can make noises in houses that sound like footsteps, but you got to check it. Point is, you got to check it out. Somebody else, another investigator, could be in that area that you didn't know went to that area. So you gotta really go and check it out and review your data and see what's happening. Now, if you catch EVPs or something at the same time during that investigation you're in there, yeah, that can indicate that it's probably more intelligent than residual as well. But you can get a mix of intelligent and residual in the same investigation. Oh, it's the heat coming on. I heard noises. I thought it was a cat at first. Um, I'm in my room. Carly's in her room.
We're both getting heat sounds from the pipes.
Yeah, so I thought the cat got into my office here for a minute. Anyway,
Ghost.
uh, looking for another question. Oh, Vicky just puts this out. I think when we were off lockdown that we will be okay if there are restrictions and they are enforced. I think if there are no restrictions, or there might be some restrictions. I think some of it we can get by. I'm actually still scheduled for. I reserved the Hinsdale House for later in the year for November. So I'm glad I reserved it for November.
Yes. Perfect timing on your part.
Yeah, I'm not doing an investigation there. I mean, it's not an event, people. I'm just bringing some friends, and Bob and Carl both know who I'm talking about there. And another friend of ours, Steve Coles, I invited, and a couple other people, and we're just going to go and have some fun because sometimes you just need to go and investigate a place with your friends and have some fun and not worry
Yes.
about events all the time, and hone your skills a little bit too. So it's always a good thing, and hang out with your friends. It's a good thing to do.
Yes.
I think after this is over, that's going to be a great thing to do.
Mhm.
Um, and Timothy is here. Hey, Tim, how's it going tonight? And Tim says he's going back to Wildwood June 27th. I think that's good. That's good because, I mean, you'll be going with a small group anyway, I'm sure. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. Unless Wildwood turns around and says, well, we're not going to be able to do anything until after this is over. But I think you'll be okay by June 27th. That's good, Tim. It'd be good to get back out there. And Barry March says that would be great to get Brandon Elvis on your Q&A. I'm going to ask him. We'll see what happens. Barry is going to toss this up there. That's what Barry just noted. So we'll see what happens. I will reach out to him and ask him. He's a great guy. I really loved talking with him last night. It was a lot of fun. and very interesting gentleman. He's not just an investigator; he's a filmmaker. He's done a lot of films of his own, and some very interesting things strictly to do with history, not even the paranormal. And you guys should check some of this stuff out at his website. In fact, I'm going to toss his website out there to you guys. It's just BrandonJAlvis.com. So just all one word, BrandonJAlvis.com. Go to his site and you can check out all the things he's into, all the things he's done, his filmography. He's done a lot of work, things called the Unexplained Files, Ephemera, if I pronounce that right. Cemetery Park is something new that it's not out yet. He's just finishing it up. We were talking about it last night. But I'll read this to you because it's very interesting and I can't wait for it to come out. It says December 3rd, 1964 marks a dark stain in the history of the city of San Buenaventure in California. Over 3,000 pioneer and veterans' graves were disgraced by the city council. In the years to follow and after a grand jury investigation, one man stands up for the families of the voiceless. Over a span of 14 years, the illegalities, misconduct, and those responsible would be exposed in hope of restoring St. Mary's Cemetery to its former state. The revelations discovered during the making of this documentary rewrite the history of this iconic beach town in Southern California. So this is something that Brandon, well, he made the film, and again, he's still in the process of doing it. So it's going to be coming out very soon. But there is a short on his website, again, BrandonJAlvis.com. You can check out a short little clip of it. Very interesting. Can't wait till it comes out. And it's strictly about what went on there in history. It has nothing to do with hauntings or investigating a haunting or anything like that. He's a great guy, very interesting individual, and check his site out. I was really impressed with this guy. To be honest with you, it's totally impressed. Things I didn't know about him until I got researching him a little bit for the interview last night. Tim talks about a price he got on the place. I'll just let people read that in there if they want. Shauna Bowman. Hello from St. Helen, Michigan. I was exposed to COVID-19. I self-quarantined, had the test done. It's negative. All right. So there you go. At least it came back negative. So, but hello, Shauna from St. Helen, Michigan. I just wanted to call her out. We appreciate everybody who's from all over the place.
And we're glad that it was negative and that you're healthy.
Yeah, and Alex is here tonight. He's checking out our show. Romans were nuts. Yes, they were.
Yes, they were.
But they were also very intelligent people. They were very intelligent people. Hey, they had sewer systems. You know, you can't knock that too much. They did have sewer systems.
Not to mention the architecture.
Yes, Roman architecture.
Coming from the architecture student.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but when it came to the Coliseum, they were wacky what they did there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't even fathom how amazing the architecture was back then, and just with the tools that they used and the way that they did it. Amazing.
Drew Henry just brings up something. I'm not sure what he's referring to. There was a creepy vibe when I watched it, so I'm not sure what Drew maybe.
Must have been.
I might have missed it earlier, but if you want to just tell us again, Drew, what that was about. That's great. Terry Egan, our friend Terry, is here. Rome is full of activity. Oh, that's right. Terry has been there. Yeah, she was just there, a couple years ago, I think, Terry, right? Or yeah, about 2 years ago, I believe. Because we investigated her home before she left to go on her trip there. Yes. Yeah. And Alex talks about Emperor Nero used to like Christian. Yes, I know. It's crazy stuff. Some of those Romans were totally nuts, totally nuts. Others not so bad, but they were a big empire at one time. Yeah, we got to give them kudos where it's due. They did have a huge empire at one time, and they did bring up a lot of positive things to the world, as well as very negative things to the world.
But the good thing is they documented a lot.
They did document a lot, but most major cultures bring both good and bad to all civilization. That can be said about any country in the world right now. It's just the way it is. You can't get the good without the bad, unfortunately. Just how it works. I see. Uh, yeah, yeah. Drew says yes, and they were very smart, invented concrete and the aqueduct system. That's correct. Again, a lot of good with a lot of the really bad. It's just the way it is. And it looks like we're having some nice conversations out there amongst the group. Can always keep it nice, people. Be respectful of each other when you're talking to each other out there. We all have our points of views, and I know everybody is right now, and everybody always has been here. And that's what I like about our people that come on. We're all respectful of each other's views. Um, and we can all have good conversations, and that's how we learn from each other, right? That's how we share ideas and concepts, and don't ever put anybody down, because we don't know everything. None of us knows everything except Carly knows everything.
I'm the least.
You tell me that all the time.
No, I don't.
Yeah. Oh, Alex, looks like Alex had a question. I see. Oh, here it is. Sorry, Alex, I almost missed it. Do you think it is possible to help cleanse a house of a residual haunting? Actually, no, I don't. I don't think it's possible to do that. If somebody has a means to be able to do that by, I'd like to know. The reason I don't think that's possible is because residual hauntings, it's trapped in the essence of the location or the building itself. There's been known locations, homes that have had residual hauntings, that they've knocked the home down and you still get the residual activity. So, if there is a way to get residual, I mean, there might be a way to eliminate residual energy if you can somehow, like, I don't know, maybe because with wavelengths you can do this. If you can get it an alternate and but matching wavelength, you can
negate it.
Yeah, they can cancel each other out. So potentially, I take it back. Potentially, there might be a way to get rid of his residual haunting if you can figure out the frequencies at which this residual haunting is occurring and counteract it. So, Alex, I guess I'll take that back and say there is a possibility. How you would do that, I'm not totally sure, but there might be a way. But I don't think through saging or prayer or anything like that is going to get rid of it. I think that gets more into um, the technical, scientific, and engineering end of things, where you might be able to cancel out a residual haunting. Carly, you riding your motorcycle in the background?
No.
Because there's a
I don't
motorcycle.
have a motorcycle anymore.
There's a motorcycle in the background.
That makes me miss my motorcycle.
That was outside your window. Everybody heard it, right? Everybody heard that motorcycle. It's Carly. It's in Carly. It was
my
Carly's
motorcycle
stomach.
From my past, it was coming for me.
And maybe it was your stomach. I don't know.
Maybe.
And Keith Bailey said that was a good question, Alex King, and I believe that is a good question. But there might be a way scientifically to do that. Can we do it yet? No. Can you do it through prayer or saging or some type of other ritual? No, I really don't think so. Just because it's energy that's trapped in a location, it's always going to be there. It's residual. It can be trapped in the land itself. So, yeah, I know. Here's an example of even just a haunting. Some of it's residual, some of it's intelligent. There used to be a monastery up by Hudson Valley, a local college up by me, that they knocked it down, and they knocked the whole building down, and on the area of that old monastery, they built a housing for students. Guess what's happening? The students are getting hauntings in their housing. So yeah. So it's still there. They may have knocked the other building down and took it all away, but there's still hauntings going on there. Some I believe are residual based on stories I've heard. Others might be intelligent. So yeah, but there might be a way. There might be a way. Hey, Alex, if you have an idea of maybe how to do that, I'd like to hear your opinion too. And I mean that sincerely. I'm not just busting your chops, Alex. We do that to each other.
That's what this is all about, is to come together and answer questions for each other. Like, it's not just us. Like, we count on other people as well. So, and that's why I like going to events too, and I know you do too, is because that's the one time that we can connect with our friends and, really connect our brains together with specific things to get answers.
Right. That's absolutely true. That's the whole reason I do this Q&A. Seriously, it's the whole reason I do this Q&A. So not just us giving you answers, but you also figuring out answers for yourselves, or others here sharing their ideas and maybe giving you answers to each other. That's why we do this. Barry Martz has a question. Have you been to Fort William Henry Museum in Lake George to visit and or investigate this property? If you were allowed to investigate, did you capture any data that became paranormal evidence? Interestingly enough, Barry, Carly, and I did just take a trip. Was it a year ago?
Yeah,
well,
it was just
a year ago. Yeah, we went up to Lake George, and I took her to Fort William Henry, and we did the night ghost tour. And just so happens one of the docents on the night tour kind of recognized who I was, and from the TV shows. And we got talking about investigating and all that, and the two of them asked me and Carly to come check out a section, and we did a short investigation. I didn't have any equipment with me, but I pulled out my cell phone. We tried to do some EVP work. We took some photos, stuff like that. We did pick up on some stuff there. I didn't capture anything that I would call evidence. There's some interesting stuff in a couple of the photos, but yeah, we got to kind of get a very short, private investigation of a part of it. So I'd like to try to get back there again and just actually go up and investigate. It is a very cool place. I've gone there since I was a kid. I mean, a kid, like 5 years old. I live in the area. I live in upstate New York. I live in Rensselaer, New York, near Albany. So to go to Lake George is like an hour away. Not very far from me. I used to go up there on vacation all the time, and so I always felt there was really something kind of odd with that place. There was times even when I was a kid, I felt like I was being watched by something, and I'm sure it was spirits that are there. Yeah, I'm convinced the place has activity, and it has a haunting. I think some of that again is residual, and some of it is intelligent. So
you may have to go during the anniversary of the battle to get really good stuff, because I know they did mention that the most evidence that they get, or the most activity they get, is around the anniversary of the actual battle that took place.
Yeah. Well, that was basically the massacre. You can go out. There's the battlefield out next to it too, where a massacre took place, and people see Native Americans there, and they've seen British soldiers and French soldiers and stuff like that in the woods out there by that battlefield. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on. Again, some residual, some intelligent. But yeah, I would like to get up there to actually investigate it. But we did get a chance. We did get a chance to go into some spots that the rest of the people didn't get to go to. And it was kind of at the end of the ghost tour. So everybody else was leaving, and they held us aside for a little bit. So it was kind of cool. Okay. Tim just talking about his internet. Too many people on the net over here, keeps freezing. Sorry about that. Here's Shauna says something. I'll just put this up there. Every house I've lived, every house I lived at has had things happen. Yep, like drums playing, footsteps, shadow figures, knocking. Why does this happen? Well, if you're sensitive at all to, and I'm not saying psychic, but if you're sensitive at all to spirit, they may realize that, and they're trying to interact with you. You may, and again, if you are sensitive to the spirit world, you'll pick up on these things more than somebody else would. A lot of us get caught up in our own lives. We don't notice things that happen and go on. But it could be just that, Shona. And as long as nothing's bad is going on, a lot of times you can just kind of let the stuff slide. As long as it's not, causing you to lose sleep or any physical harm, things like that. If it is, then you may want to have somebody cleanse your home for you. If you don't know how to do that yourself, just to remove some of the residual energy that's there. And by the energy, I'm not talking about something that's trapped in the home. I'm just talking about energies that build up over time. Residual stuff, anybody's going to hear that. I mean, even if you're not sensitive, you'll hear footsteps, you'll hear stuff, but that's just residual type hauntings. Shadow figures, more interactive. I would say that is more intelligent. That could have to do with your ability to be able to be more sensitive to the paranormal, to the spirit world. So usually people who are see these types of things. Again, if it's not causing you any problems, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But there are things you can do to reduce your exposure or your experiences to that through grounding and shielding and blocking these things from interacting with you. And Carly has a whole thing on that. She has actually a pamphlet on some basics, grounding, shielding, and different items you can use. And we can share that with you through email if you'd like.
Yeah. Or you can, if you're not friends with me on Facebook, you could friend request me or message me, and I'll look at my Facebook and we can talk about what's going on and see if we can, because we can figure it out.
Yeah,
pretty much,
Yeah. Here's just a question from Vicky Squibbs. I would like to go on an investigation with you guys. Is there a time when you guys ever take anybody? Would absolutely love to explore a haunted place with you. We don't take people, Vicky, on any of our client investigations. We just don't do that. We have our team. We do that. There is times when we hold small events, and we try to keep it as reasonable as possible so that, and I keep them small. I've decided on keeping them small, like to no more than 10 people, where people can come with me and Carly or maybe one of our other team members and really get some time with us investigating and learning from us and things like that. So we have to usually charge a little bit more because we're keeping the numbers down, but we have to pay for these places out of, we have to pay for them. So we don't want to pay for it we can't afford to pay for it out of our own pocket. So we got to charge people accordingly. We always include a dinner, and it might be just something simple like pizza, stuff like that, and drinks and stuff like that. But we try to make it, so most people can go. So we do offer that from time to time. I haven't planned anything for this year just because so much is up in the air. But there's also events that we go to that they hold investigations, and we are there for those events. So you can check out again, you check out my website, jackkenna.org. It's jackkenna.org. And you can see what events we have going on, what's coming up that we're going to be at, where there's maybe an investigation going on that you can investigate with us. Those usually have larger numbers of people, maybe 20, 30 people. But we still try to work with everybody and teach everybody something and spend as much time with everybody as we can. So that's kind of the answer, I think, to that question. Bobby Carter says, too bad you both not come to a meet and greet and investigation here in Columbus, Ohio. I have not been invited to anything out in Columbus, Ohio, Bobby. I've been in Ohio for a couple other things. I did Madison Seminary event, and I did another event out in Ohio, and we were trying to figure out something else for this year. Well, we do have still currently planned the oh my God, the autism event, and that's in Illinois. That's in out in Illinois though. Yeah, Autism Speaks. It's Paranormal 2.0, I think is the actual name for it. But that's on. That's not, we're going to be there. That's being put on by ICU Paranormal. You can go to their website, icuparanormal.org, and check that out. We're kind of helping to put that together a little bit, but we are going to be there. And there is an investigation that's going to be held, and we will be there for the investigation. So that's about as close to Ohio as we're going to be this year. A little further, will be Illinois. All right. Oh, and Drew said the documentary on the Roman Coliseum. It goes back to something I talked about a while back. But I didn't know what he was referring to. Let me see. See any other good questions there, Carly?
Yeah, by Jill Decker.
Well, here's another one from Vicky. Hang on a second. How does someone go about getting a hold of someone for an investigation? Well, Vicky, it depends. If you have a haunting going on, there's probably teams in your area that you can look up and look to for help. If you just want to go on an investigation, again, there's teams probably in your area that hold investigation events. And they usually announce them. They usually put them up on their Facebook pages or their websites. It's just a matter of looking into what's in your area, who's out there and stuff like that. So try to look those up, especially look for, you can do a simple search in Google for uh, ghost hunts in wherever, right now there's none going on because everybody's trapped. So probably the first thing you'd find is maybe like July or August. If you need a home investigation, that's something else. Even those, nobody's doing them right now because everybody's locked down. So unfortunately, we're trying to help clients as best we can who are experiencing hauntings right now, and some of it's because we're all locked in and people just they're noticing things more, or you get depression sets in and you start thinking things are going on too. That can happen. A haunting is
You're creating it yourself.
Yeah, a haunting is not always caused by a spirit, people. I know everybody thinks they are, but they're not always. They're sometimes caused by us ourselves and our state of minds and things like that. And I'm not saying people are crazy.
No.
I'm saying depression can cause a lot of strange things to occur with us. And especially being locked in for a long period of time, and your mind starts to work in weird ways, and you're not necessarily experiencing a haunting, So it's something to think about. It's something to think about. You just got a lot more time to sit around and notice things you didn't notice before. That doesn't mean you've got a haunting going on.
And it is hard because you're stuck inside your head. You're stuck inside your house. I mean, I've had to deal with kind of that situation where you're kind of in your head a little bit more. You have more time to sit down and think. And sometimes that's the worst thing that can happen. So, even if you go outside and stand outside in the sunshine for like a couple minutes, that'll help because you're technically outside. And that's called earthing, actually. It's very, very good for the body. But, you kind of want to, if you're feeling cooped up and kind of claustrophobic and you're kind of depressed, even if you're really not feeling like it would be a good idea to go outside and stand barefoot in the grass for a little bit because it's guaranteed to help you.
Right. If you have a dog, just watch where you stand. That's all.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there. All right. And this is from Jerry. Jerry, you're very welcome. I'm sure Michelle will be able to help you. Yes, and yours was one of the things she was going to be working on tonight. I had talked to her today. I already knew that. And Michelle Durocher will take care of you. I have all the confidence in the world in that woman. And I know you said there's another question. Who was the question from, Carly?
Jill Decker.
Jill Decker, okay.
It was right above Vicky's.
Right above Vicky's. Okay. I'll pop this one up, and then I know there's another one. I'll put that one up. Read that one, Carly.
Some of the older churches buried their clergy and people behind churches or under churches. Have you ever run into anything like that?
What, where people were buried in churches and things like that? Yeah, well, yeah, I know locations where that's the case, and that was kind of normal many years ago with churches. People forget back in you're talking 1600s, 1700s. That was kind of normal. The graveyards were right behind the churches, or in some cases they were in the basement of the churches. People forget these things. We don't think of this today because it's not allowed, right? For a lot of reasons. It's just not done that way anymore. but there was a time when that was the norm, and you got to go to Salem, Mass, and you can see some of those type of locations. The bodies have since been moved because they couldn't leave them that way because of modern ordinances. So they had to move the grave sites to the actual graveyards. In some cases, they are still there, depending on the size of the grave sites behind those churches and stuff. But yeah, I mean that's stuff. Yeah, I've heard of it and I've seen them. Um, Actually, not that uncommon for the time periods that they took place. Again, 1600s, 1700s, even early 1800s. Oh, and here was another question from Chelsea. Okay, and I know this is another person who's getting some help. When I'm in the basement doing laundry and I feel like I'm being watched, could it be a spirit? Um, I would say if you're in your basement and you get those feelings of being watched, I would not jump to it being a spirit at first, because it could be things like high electromagnetic frequency coming off the electric wiring in your home, as well as typically in most basements, that's where you find the circuit breaker box or the fuse box, and those give off a lot of EMF. Um,
Mhm.
so I wouldn't jump to that being the case. Sometimes just being in a creepy basement can give you that feeling. Doesn't mean there's anything going on there. Um, it's more than just one thing. Anytime we determine if a location actually truly has a haunting going on, we go in, we investigate, we collect a lot of data. We go through all that data, which is audio, video, personal experiences, all this stuff that we write down or collect. And then if we get responses and locations from things like if somebody investigated down there, and don't investigate your own home, Chelsea, don't do it. Um, but somebody was capturing EVP down the basement of an intelligent response to things, more than just one, then I would be more ready to say, okay, well, that feeling could be caused by a spirit. But don't jump to that conclusion. And I'm not going to tell you that's what's going on, because I have no idea. I've never been to your location. I've never been there. I would not assume it is a spirit, though. No, not at this point.
And stuff like breaker boxes and high levels of EMF, they can cause the like hair-raising, tingling feeling on the back of your neck. Like they cause a lot more than just what you think is like maybe a heavy feeling. They can really make you feel like someone's watching you, and it's really just, EMF.
And just another thing from Jerry. Blah, 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 blah. Spirits are very active there. Well, we'll see what we can do, Jerry. I mean, I can't promise anything. Matter of fact, this fall, I've got to check on some things, because my son is going to be getting married in October.
Yeah.
And so we got to check on some things around that schedule. I may have something I originally said yes to that I have to cancel. So, because, hey, my son's wedding comes first, people. Sorry. Um, so yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, I got to look at the schedule and check things out. I may have to cancel one. Um, here's a question from Drew. I've heard a person senses it's one of the best tools in the paranormal category. Uh, don't know true it is, though. Well, I would say this: it is true. I mean, in that, and we're not talking about somebody being psychic. We're talking about using your senses: hearing, sight, you know, smell, taste, all these different things. Um, and just this the feeling like if you walk into a room and something feels off. I always use the analogy: think of like if you walk into a bar and you feel like, uh-oh, I shouldn't be in here, and because there's the tension in the you can feel the tension in the air, as has been written in many novels, right, and stories. You can feel the tension was so thick in the air you could cut it with a knife, right? I mean, you're talking about those types of things, and that's not being psychic. That's just your body telling you something's not right. So yes, it is one of the best things to at least try to say, hey, maybe I should investigate this spot, and spend some extra time here, because something feels different than the rest of the location. Something here feels different than the rest of the location. Um, So yeah, when we're talking about your senses, that is the first thing you really want to get in tune with is your senses prior to going on any investigation. And you can do that through just some meditation, or you sit quietly, listen to some favorite music, let the worries of the day go by, and not worry about stuff. And then you go in and investigate and just keep an open mind to things. All right, so that's my answer to that. Yeah, okay. Oh, here's one from Keith. Jack Kenna, do you think Old South Pittsburgh Hospital is one of the most wicked haunted places you've been? It's very haunted, Keith. One of the most. It's in the top 5, I'd say, of the places I've been to. So yeah, it's one of the most. Yeah, it's one of the most. It's not the most. Actually, the most place I was ever to that was haunted was a client's house. Had more experiences there than any place else in one night. Yeah, that was crazy. Um, that was up in Springfield, Massachusetts. Um, but yes, it is a very haunted location. I had some very interesting experiences there. I know many people have. I love the location. I'd love to get back there again. I was hoping to get back there this year. We'll have to see what happens. But yeah, I do like the place, and it does have some really good activity and some very interesting spirits that are there. Yeah, yeah, especially the third floor, but even the first floor has a lot of activity on it. And they kind of know who that individual is, and I've personally never really run into anything really negative there. I know some people talk about the creeper that's on the third floor, but I've run into that thing, and I don't think it's what people think it is. I have my own theory on what that is up there, and it did throw something at me. So it didn't hit me, but it threw something at me. You know, nothing major, just a piece of tile from the ceiling, but it didn't hit me. But I was pushing a little bit. I wasn't instigating, but I was just like, "Come on, show us some activity. I've heard about you. Blah 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 blah, that kind of thing." Um, Not being mean, not being cruel. I just say, show me that you're here. So, but yes, it's definitely haunted. And Dwayne just says, "What's up, guys? Hope all is well." Thank you, Dwayne. Hope everything's good out there with you. And Shauna did say nothing bad, so nothing bad in her that she's dealing with. So that's good. I would say you're just sensitive to these things, and you're just picking up on it more than some people would.
And people can mutually live with spirits. I mean, like, not every haunting is a bad haunting. I mean, people can get along with spirits. It's kind of like you do your thing, I'll do mine.
Exactly. Keith Bailey says, "Let's go to Alcatraz." Jack Kenna, okay, Keith, anytime you want. You want to go to Alcatraz anytime, but I don't think they'll let us in until this is over with. But we can we can talk more about that even at the Battlefield Bash, or even before then, whatever. And Keith and I have been talking and working on a. I've been just kind of been a counsel with, I guess, a consultant with him on a case he's working, and that's a very interesting one. So him and I have been talking a little bit more than usual lately, but it's good, and I think we've got a handle on this case and what needs to be done at this point. And Kathy asked the question, "What do you think about anyone using sage?" I use sage just for clearing out energy in my home. Usually like spring cleaning, or sage myself after investigation, just to remove any energy that might be hanging out around me. I usually also mix it with Palo Santo wood, in case there's anything negative there, really drive that out. But saging is useful. You got to be careful though, because in some cases sage can white sage can actually draw spirit in too. It just depends what you're doing, what your intent is. Like I always tell people, everything out here, everything we do in the paranormal is about intent. What's your intent? What are your intentions when you go to use that sage? And what are you using it for? What's your purpose? Mostly it's used for cleansing. Or what's your purpose when you go to investigate? You know, people kind of hit on me sometimes. Well, you're coming in and investigating my home. Why can't I investigate my own home? Well, what's your purpose of investigating your home? My purpose is you called me to come and help you find out what's going on, and maybe try to help get rid of whatever there. So that's my intention, is to help you, not just try to talk to spirits and collect some evidence and say, oh yeah, you got a ghost here, far more than that. That's only a small part of what we do when we go out there to try to help you. um, but if you're just investigating because you want to talk to what's there, you're asking for trouble, because you don't know what you're talking to, number one, and you don't know what you're getting yourself into. It might be just a human spirit, but by talking to it and asking it to communicate with you, and you just want to get one or two EVPs from it, well, guess what? They may want more than that. They may want your undivided attention and really start to get nasty with you because you're not giving it to them, you know and that's when people start getting hit and scratched and punched. It's not always something demonic. You've just This thing could have been desperate to get attention to begin with. Now you gave it to it, and then you took it away, so now it's desperate for more of that attention. So think of it like a 2-year-old kid in some ways. You give this little kid attention. You can't just give it 2 minutes of attention, walk away, and not expect them to be chasing after you. Right? So think of it that way.
Throw a hissy fit in the middle of a grocery store.
That's right, right. They'll scream, yell, holler, and everything else, and that's what can happen with spirits. That's a good way to look at it. So be careful. Be careful what you do, and think of what's my reasoning for doing this. What's my intent of doing this? Again, our intent when you call us is to always just try to help you, not stir things up, not just try to talk to something just it's cool, or wow, we caught an EVP. I don't really even care, unless that EVP has given me some information as to why this thing is there, who they are, why they're bothering you, and all that. Um, and well, Barry's just talking about he was with us and Ellen at Palmyra at the museums there. I'd love to get back.
That's a really good place.
It was an awesome event. Yes, Barry, and I'm just going to toss it up there. I'd love to get back there again and do that again. I really got to talk to the Palmyra folks about that, and maybe try to get back there again. Probably not this year, but maybe next year. Maybe this year. Probably next year. Too much happening this year. Here's from Danny. While I'm here, though, Jack, have you dealt with any exorcisms recently? No, not recently, because again, matter of fact, we had a case we're working on that has a demonic involved, and because of this damn COVID-19 stuff, we can't even go there to help. We've given them some things to do. We do some prayer for them. I really need to even, I hate to tell Michelle, but I probably should talk to her about looking into that case as well. It involves a teenage girl.
Hmm.
I
Oh
won't
yeah,
say
absolutely.
I won't say more than that, but we have to get back to them once this is over so we can help them. And unfortunately, this is what's happening. Some people are still suffering with this stuff and they're getting frustrated. Not this particular client hasn't, but some people are getting very frustrated with it, and there's not much we can do. Unfortunately, it's not our call. We would love to come and be able to go out and help people, but we can't. We're not allowed to. And I have to think of our family and stuff too. And I have a family member living with me who has some issues going on as far as lung issues and things like that. So I can't take the risk of and neither can Carly, of catching this.
No, it would definitely be deadly.
Yeah, it
In
would
that
be.
case.
It would
So,
literally be deadly. It would literally.
and that would make us feel responsible.
Yeah, it would literally kill her.
So
Yeah, and it's my
yeah,
sister, so I'm not going to do that. So
no.
this is why I'm not doing any cases right now. I uh, do refer some people to a very good friend of mine who does remote cleansings. I can't refer everyone to her. She's well overloaded with cases. Um, uh,
Especially
she
with
doesn't have time to call people and talk to them. She's just doing everything by email and remote viewings and remote cleansings, and she's even doing that tonight. She has just like 60 cases this week, and some of those are ones I sent her.
and what
So,
people don't really understand is that this stuff really takes a toll on our bodies. Like, we actually physically feel it. Like, whenever I do readings for people, it could be like maybe a 2-hour reading. I'm incapacitated for the next day. I can't even get out of bed because it feels like an actual hangover. And, I think that sometimes people don't really realize that, having these abilities and having these gifts, like, our friend does, it does take a toll on us. So sometimes we need breaks too, in a way, to kind of regroup so that we can help you more.
And
there is that aspect too.
Yeah.
But
and this is going to be our last. It's a really good question, and it's our last question for tonight. Again, if you want to get any of our stuff, check out any of my books. Get any of my books online. You can get them at Amazon.com. It's scrolling on the banner there below, or BarnesandNoble.com. Just put in my name, Jack Kenna, on their search bars, and you'll see all this stuff come up. Classes are on hold right now. We'll probably be resuming those with the colleges sometime later in the summer or early or the fall, and maybe into November even. But we are going to be resuming them at some point. Again, you need to check out any of the events we will still be doing this year. Go to jackkenna.org or spiritsofnewengland.org. And you can go to our events pages there and see what's going on. Carly, any last minute things for you before I get to this last question?
No, everybody wash your hands, stay inside, and be safe, and keep saying prayers for everybody, because the world really needs it right now.
That's it. So here's our last question that we can get to for tonight. We're actually even running over time. Sandra Olson asks, how do you know if you have brought attachments back with you that could be causing negative effects on your life? I have had several experiences and know that I am very sensitive to picking up on spirits or residual energy. I have it's a very long thing. I've had a lot of health issues and misfortunes since visiting Terrence Bay Inn, in Michigan. Had an event that caused me to have to pull off the road, sleep for an hour, and those are good things. I'm not going to finish reading the rest of this. It goes on a lot. Everybody out there can see it. The basic question: how do you know? Some of the things you even just mentioned in there: feeling extremely tired, like constantly drained. That can be spirit energy feeding off you, spirit feeding off your energy. You may have bouts of anxiety or being very annoyed with people for no apparent reason. And these can be signs that there is a spirit attachment and you're picking up on its thoughts and its feelings. Those aren't yours. And there's a way to tell that. You won't know why you're angry at somebody. You won't understand why you're having all this anxiety. And that usually indicates that it's not your feelings. It's not your own emotions. It's coming from another source. You're just not going to act yourself. You're not going to be yourself. You're not going to feel yourself. I mean, some of that can be you came back with a cold and stuff too. But if it continues, and you're constantly, especially the feeling drained part, you may notice some strange things happen in your home. Not always. I mean, I've come back with attachments and had nothing happen in my home, but I constantly feel drained and tired and exhausted, just completely exhausted. And what it is I've had a spirits attachments, and my good friend Michelle Durocher has removed those for me at times because you can't always remove them yourself. So it's something to remember. But those are ways to tell. Yeah, depression. But depression can be caused by a lot of things. But if you didn't have depression before you went on this investigation, and suddenly you're feeling depressed and you don't understand why, it could be that. But look for multiple symptoms. It's never just one symptom. There's multiple symptoms to it, just like any disease, right? But always get checked by your doctor first, just to make sure it's not something else. It's like anything else. You got to narrow it down. All right, folks, that's kind of it for tonight. We thank you all for coming out. If we didn't get to your question, we will try to during the week to get an answer to you, or come back again and next Tuesday and ask your question again. We will be here every Tuesday, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, sometimes a little bit over. Like tonight. All right, everybody. Thanks again for joining us. We all hope you have a great night. We'll be seeing you all and talking to you all soon. And Keith, we'll be talking. All right, buddies, friends. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.